In this episode of Hot Hardware's 2.5 Geeks, we got new Ryzens, new Radeons, and a brand new amazing gaming rig giveaway that we'll be telling you about next. Welcome back to yet another fine episode of Hot Hardware's 2.5 Geeks webcast. It's Beer 30, don't you know, on Wednesday. That's when we like to show up here. 5:30 on the East Coast. Welcome to the stream. I have with me, as always, the incomparable, the fabulous, the effervescent Marco Chiappetta. How you doing there, brother?
I'm doing terrible. Why do you ask?
Nice. You're bubbling in a bitchy sort of way.
Nope, all good here. It's been a busy day of benchmarking and shooting some video. But other than that, can't complain. After we're done with the podcast, I'm going to meet the family out for some ice cream. And yeah, all good.
Little ice cream. You having dessert first? No dinner or anything like that? Just dessert. Go right to dessert.
Well, I'm going to turbo my dinner after this. It's sitting in the microwave. Then go get ice cream.
There you go. Ender Boys says, I hope you have a good day. Yes, I hope you have one as well.
You know, Ender, now that you're here, the day is fantastic.
The day's getting better all along.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't change the dang stream notification on Twitch. Twitch, you got to automate that, man.
What a meatball.
Well, no, the YouTube gets it when you schedule something, but Twitch doesn't. So Twitch, wake up. But yes, welcome back, folks. Today is just me and Marco. We've got Chris doing the knobs and dials, but he is hunkered down in the bunker and he's not showing his face. Chris, can you at least give us a little bit of voice? Are you alive, or is the nuclear holocaust, done weird things to you? Are you more of a mutant now or something like that?
Hello, world.
There you go. That sounded like you were a full zombie. Excellent. But yeah, no, great to be back. I think did I take a break last week? No, we were talking with Ian last week. My brain had to take a break after that because it was pretty mind bending. We were talking with Ian from Tech Potato. Interesting channel name, but he's a pretty smart guy. We were talking process technology and Intel's announcements last week. But this week we're back in more of a normal groove with some new announcements. Lots of things going on right now in the review sphere. We've got a lot of testing going on in our individual labs. Marco, what are you working on these days? Anything you can talk about, or would we have to shoot people if we told them?
I think I can. I have some graphics cards that we're testing, and I got wind of another graphics card today. So there'll be lots of graphics coverage soon. I probably shouldn't say just yet what they are. I have, Beast Canyon showed up. So I'm going to get on Beast Canyon, have a couple of notebooks been sitting around that I've been slacking on hardcore. And I'm probably forgetting something, but yeah, there's lots coming.
There you go. That's plenty. Excellent. Beast Canyon, huh? So Intel finally found whatever the glitch was in shipping and got that box to you after all.
Yes, and I have to shoot video of that too because the box it came in is so cool.
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh,
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Very cool. Well, I've got some stuff going on in the labs as well. I've got a certain phone from a certain company that makes Snapdragons, and it's very special. And that's all I can say. It was announced, and that's it. It's under NDA. Other than that, and then there might be another phone coming in from a very large company. Rhymes with Schmoogle. I don't know. So yeah, it's lots of top secret stuff going on, and it's lots of fun right now. We are grinding through the work as it goes.
Yes, sir.
So, and I must give a little pitch because I have something that also has some really cool can art, not box art. This is from Treehouse Brewing Company. Look at that. Hang on one sec. Get it right there. There we go. Treehouse Brewing Company. This is the Juice Project. Is the name of the beer. Juice Project. Citra and Chinook hops, I believe, is what makes it juicy. But this is Treehouse Brewing Company, local place, fabulous local beer, and their can art is like serious. It's art, like for real. So
That
yeah,
looks like my wife in the mornings when she's yelling at me to pick up my dirty underwear.
you are sleeping in the doghouse tonight, my brother.
So
Oh my goodness.
I'm drinking. Don't drink this stuff.
Oh,
So
LaCroix, yeah. Ooh.
don't drink this.
It's
This
got no
stuff
flavor.
is disgusting. It's gross. I'm just finishing what I bought because I don't want to waste it. But my God, is that stuff gross?
You know, I hope the company isn't watching right now because they won't take too kindly to your. Well, it's your personal review. I mean, it's your opinion.
Yeah. Oh no, they might not send us their GPU. You know.
Yeah, it's one of those, right? Well, anyways, I will see you and raise you up. Look at that. That's like a meal in a glass, a little beer.
Yum.
So there you go. I'm gonna have a little sip. Okay, we're into beer 30. It's official. Excellent. All right, so let's talk about a few things that we should tease that we're breaking around the web. And let's see, some reviews first. Well, actually, no, let's talk about interesting stuff. Sony's PS5 has been bubbling lately. I'm going to drop this in the chat. Sanchez, you're laughing at me. Hopefully you're laughing at good things. So yeah, let's see. Sony PS5 benchmarked with Samsung 980 Pro PCI Express 4 SSD, and the early benchmark results are promising. There it is right there, the PS5. Great thing about these new architectures for consoles that are very PC-like, that are getting more PC-like by the day, is that they have things like M2 storage in them, and you can literally, with a little bit of resourcefulness, go under the hood and replace that 825 gig, relatively smallish, especially if you're installing a bunch of heavy-duty game titles on it, SSD. You can replace that with something of your own choosing. Selection, what have you. And yeah, so folks have been doing that, and it's interesting because you not only get some additional capacity should you drop in a larger M2 stick, NVMe SSD, but if it meets certain criteria, and actually PCI Express 4 is just the basic, there's some speed criteria that Sony notes as well, but folks are reporting that it doesn't even have to really meet those either. But you can get better performing SSDs are the bottom line than what Sony perhaps packs in stock. And there were some interesting findings that this user had for load times and whatnot based on this, Samsung 980 Pro PCI Express SSD that dropped in there, which is a fast, current generation PCI Express 4 SSD from Samsung. Thoughts about that, Marco? Interesting stuff. We're going to have Ben, I think, Ben Funk from our team do his own little homebrew with that, right?
Yeah, so we're just waiting for Ben's approval in the beta program, but he's lined up and ready to go. What's interesting is, really quick load times, which is what everybody was saying about PS5 due to the architecture and the way it streams data off the SSD. But, the 980 Pro, when it launched, it was like one of the fastest SSDs. But now with the new Phison drives, those and the Phison and the InnoGrid SSDs, like the ADATA S70 we looked at, those are even faster. So if the 980 Pro speeds up the PS5, those Phison drives, like especially a new one with the B47R NAND, is really going to speed it up because you've got, faster sequentials and randoms. So, if you're a PS5 tinkerer, you're going to have lots of stuff to do soon.
Yeah, interesting stuff for sure. And then Brandon followed up with a PCI Express 4 PlayStation 5 shopping guide, buyer's guide. And basically what we did was we ran down the SSDs that meet Sony's recommended bandwidth specifications. And then we also ran down some heat sinks to go with them. I dropped the link in the chat there. Chris, I don't know if you can switch to that link, but you had it up before. Anyways, there it is right there. Yeah, you got it. So yeah, there's the WD Black. But basically, if you buy a bare SSD without a heat spreader, Sony recommends within the chassis that you should have a heat spreader and help cool it. And we also even suggested a few options there as well. If you end up with a bare SSD and you want to, like the Fire Cooter there, if you want to strap a little thermal solution on top. So yeah, interesting stuff. What's Xbox have for storage?
It's got an M.2 also, I believe. I'm not certain though, so don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I wonder if it's PCI.
They're basically the same architecture.
Yeah, but I wonder if it's PCI Express 4 and if folks have been looking at this for the Xbox as well. Probably should do some homework on that. It's probably been discussed.
I'm
But
sure.
anyways, yeah. So there you go. A little buyer's guide. We're going to have our own findings in the coming weeks with Ben as soon as he gets in on the beta program. We're trying to pull some strings to expedite his acceptance for Sony's beta program there. But yeah, good stuff. And direct storage will come into play as well, would it not, Marco? Because now you're talking, well, not on PlayStation, but on at least Microsoft's platform, right?
Direct storage is coming to Windows 11, and I believe they recently changed course, and it's coming to Windows 10 as well. But that's also going to require specific game implementation as well. That's going to be interesting because I'm hearing rumblings that some of today's faster drives don't hold up well to the sustained load that direct storage will cause. So we're going to see how things shake out in the next few months. That's all I can really say right now.
Yeah, looking forward to kicking the tires on that. All right, well, let's shift gears to the mobile world, and then we'll switch back to PC. But just real quickly here, I mentioned a sleeper product, the Nubia Red Magic 6R. Miriam Joie did a little review of that. If you are looking for a not so expensive 5G capable phone, okay, I say there's a little bit of a caveat there, but one of the fastest Snapdragon 888 powered phones on the market currently has sustained performance over time. The thermal solution in this phone is actually excellent. It's one of the best phones we've ever tested for extended duration performance. And I think it retails for like $499 with a 144 hertz display. So it's got all the performance, AMOLED display, 144 hertz AMOLED display, 2400 by 1080 resolution, 8 or 12 gigs of RAM. That's a 6.67 inch display. So all the performance bells and whistles. Where it lacks a little bit is software, not quite as refined as some of the Samsung phones, and certainly OnePlus and phone stock Android. But if you can get by the Red Magic OS sort of clunkiness that Miriam experienced, the performance on this phone for the price is excellent. And again, what I mentioned was the caveat being 5G compatibility right now in the US. Only T-Mobile sub-6 capability, but hopefully other carriers, it'll work with other carriers in the future. But if you're on Google Fi, like I am here locally, it bounces around on T-Mobile depending where you are. I have a pretty big T-Mobile area here, so pretty interesting phone for $500.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, the higher end one that Miriam looked at is $569 or $599, the one with 12 gigs and more storage. But yeah, to get basically full performance Snapdragon 888 for a mainstream price, it's pretty awesome. And the phone looks good. It's geared for gamers. It's a strong phone all around in terms of hardware and perf. If you can get by with some of the software quirks, like especially related to the camera, Miriam didn't like where some options are hidden where they don't seem logical. It works. It's just not very intuitive. If you're cool with that and you like to, you're cool with a phone perhaps not quite as well known, I mean, you get a lot of performance here for not a ton of money.
Yeah, you're getting into the benchmarks there, Chris. The gaming benchmarks are even more interesting. It scores near the top. There's PCMark for Android Work 3. We're starting to run that now. Antutu. I mean, it's scoring right at the top, and it's even competing with some of the gaming phones. And it is sort of a gaming phone setup with this 144 hertz display. Where it does also come up a little bit short is battery life. Battery life that Miriam tested was sort of in the middle of the road at 120 hertz. If you dropped it down to 60 hertz, probably get much better results than what we got. But the top end, refresh is 144. That's a great graphic right there, Chris. Yeah. So there you go. That's 3D Mark Wildlife and the stress test. the phone does not drop off stability over the full 20 minutes of extended testing. So that's 91% stability, bled off, less than 10% performance. We have not seen a Snapdragon 888 put that kind of curve up, which is basically flat. There almost is no curve. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff for sure. From the folks at Nubia. Wild. All right, and we'll move on. We won't belabor that much more, but check that out if you're looking for a sleeper phone. We'll mention something real quick that's been bubbling out there, and we don't know if it's fact, fiction, or a pipe dream, but 3DFX is 3DFX. If you want to come back from the retro days, the golden days of 3D graphics hardware, 3DFX claims its comeback is real with a portfolio of products, and that raises even more questions. So they chirped this a few days ago that they were back. This is an unofficial or unconfirmed account on Twitter that's been messaging this. And then today, there is a holding company, Janssen Products, noted here, that says after 20 years, 3DFX is returning, and they're going to bring everything from graphics cards to smartphones and smart TVs and sound systems. So I don't know what to make of that, Marco, but it's interesting. It's fun to ponder.
So it's either complete BS and we're all getting trolled.
Yeah.
Like the Janssen products really sounds like Jensen. I don't know if, when NVIDIA bought 3DFX.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
I don't know if they ever liquidated any trademarks or anything. I don't think they did. So I think this is BS. If it's not BS, I'm really not looking forward to such a beloved brand getting destroyed by, crappy knockoff weird products. I don't know. My heart wants to be cautiously optimistic because I'm in this business because of 3DFX, but I'm not. I don't think they're going to pull anything off of significance. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, the Janssen products. It didn't even occur to me how close that is to Jensen. So all right. Yeah. My BS detector is now officially pegged even further. It's the needle's buried.
Yep.
But this is interesting, little rumbling, like who's got the, time in their day to blow this kind of smoke. But
well, someone's going to end up with a Twitter account with thousands of followers that they can just change the name on after this, and boom, instant marketing.
There you go. There you go. Well, we'll throw this up for Paul. Paul's complaining about the Galaxy S21 Ultra doesn't have a micro SD card slot. I feel your pain. You're the power user that we've talked about for that phone, and not many left. It's a dying breed, the expandable storage on smartphones, right, Marco? You like that?
Yeah,
that's your jam.
I do, because I've been transferring photos and other stuff from phone to phone to phone on micro SD for years. I think I have images dating back to an Asus Zenfone 3 still on my micro SD card, and I just pop it into my new phone and everything's there. And I think this is the last gen that I'll be able to do that, unless some company remains generous and keeps it on their next gen phone. We'll see. I think I'm good for at least another couple of years though with this S20.
I'm surprised it hasn't taken off a little bit more, because it is a very manageable storage medium that I think folks would appreciate it. Honestly, if some of these phone manufacturers even integrated a backup, within Photos or whatever, some of the Photos apps, especially Videos apps, quick little backup button, bang, you back up to your card, that's good. Then you can delete it off your phone, especially if you sync to Google Photos in the cloud, then you back up to your card, bang, you got them both places, you're double backed up. Now you can delete them off your phone and free up your storage again.
I mean, I just record right to the SD card. I don't store anything on the phone usually.
Oh, really? You target that? Yeah.
Yep. You just have that as the save location, and you don't have to do anything.
There you go. But the risk you run there is if the card, gives up the ghost. That's what I was saying. The nice thing about using the Photos app or the Videos app is that it'll sync to cloud, and
yeah. In the current climate, I am less and less happy with any of my stuff in the cloud, because I'm sure no matter what data it is, it's being used to make money that I don't get, for whether it's for AI face recognition or data mining, whatever. I'm sure it's all in the hands of people that are going to profit from it. And I'm starting to get more and more cynical by the day in this country.
Should we craft you a tinfoil hat, Marco?
No, I have my 70 terabytes of storage in the basement, and that's where my stuff will be backed up for now when I can. And I just hope nothing burns down.
When the apocalypse hits, your basement storage is good.
I'll be running down the street with Naz's on my shoulders.
Oh God. Here goes the geek doomsday prepper running up the street. Beautiful. All right. Well, let's sort of segue into even more PC centric stuff. Switching back from phones to graphics cards. AMD launches Radeon RX 6600 XT with 8 gigs of GDDR6 for 1080p gaming domination. We kind of amped up that headline a little bit. Interesting product. In that the positioning is versus a 3060. There was some benchmarks that AMD offered up. We are, of course, going to prove those out on our own. So, take those with a grain of salt. We wouldn't think they would fabricate any numbers, but we'll prove those out independently, of course. But you're looking at 32 compute units, 32 megs of Infinity Cache, 8 gigs of GDDR6, and a 160 watt board power, one 8-pin PCI Express power connector on the board. So a much more mid-range product targeted at, again, GeForce RTX 3060 class performance, and those were the benchmarks comparisons that they chalked up. And so again, 1080p kind of gaming performance versus NVIDIA 3060 for $379. And this is what's interesting because currently MSRP, when the world is, it's completely sane and selling things at MSRP, again, MSRP for the RTX 3060 is $329. It's about a 15% premium price versus the 3060. And as you can see here, about 15% premium or boost in performance versus a 3060. The caveat is a 3060 Ti, which they don't compare to and which we would need to compare to, is MSRP of $399. So this is a tweener. And what are your thoughts, Marco?
My thoughts are I don't know if I can say with regard to the pricing, I think AMD, don't read into the MSRPs because it was more I believe more of an effort to be realistic about getting closer to what they actually sell for.
Really?
I mean, I don't know. Like, it's not going to sell for MSRP. Unfortunately, we're still in this crappy situation where there's shortages. So, unless by some miracle you get one direct from AMD's website or a manufacturer, you're probably not going to find them for MSRP, unfortunately. So the conversation's probably moot. For a 1080p targeted card, that does seem like a lot of money. There's lots of performance with other cards you can get that'll be plenty for 1080p that aren't going to cost you $400. But, if you want the latest architecture in terms of the specs, it's looking like it's going to be very strong. Plus, you got FSR gaining momentum. So even for newer titles that let's say a year down the line or a couple years down the line would perhaps beat up a card that targets 1080p today, you'll probably still get plenty playable frame rates with something like FSR enabled. So I'm looking forward to testing them out. Perhaps that's what I'm messing with right now. Perhaps, I don't know. Perhaps the 3060 Ti is in the test rig that I'm touching right now at arm's length. But yeah, I can say I completely revamped the test bed this week. Handful of new games getting integrated. Every graphics card updated with the latest BIOS to make sure resizable bar is working right. So when the 6600 XT launches and you see our independent benchmarks, they will be fresh and fully up to date with latest drivers, BIOS, everything.
And that specifically, which has been announced, and I'm not going to get you in trouble and get us shot by the sentries. Yes. That launch date is August 11th.
So they announced the launch date. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So a few more days, you'll get to see what's going on.
Yeah, that's the launch date. I'm looking, well, unless Paul grabbed it from thin air in our news release, which I don't believe he did.
It's on that slide right there. Available August 11th.
There you go. Beautiful. We can read too. Go figure. Yeah, no, it's good stuff. It's good to have another option in that price point, or in that price segment, sub $400. I am a little, yeah, that's what caught me. That's what occurred to me, is this 379 is kind of, it's trying to kiss 400. It's really not 30-60 territory. But then again, these days it's like, well, what does MSRP even mean? I don't know.
But over and above MSRP, all of the raw materials are just more expensive right now. Like wood is like 4 times the regular price right now. So all of the metals, everything that goes into making, even the cardboard that goes in the box right now, everything that goes into making a GPU is way more expensive right now than it was a year ago. So, part of that higher MSRP, it's also a function of the current market climate. It is what it is. We don't like it. Nobody's going to like it, but nothing we can do right now.
So you're saying we're in the wrong business. We should have been selling cardboard this whole time.
Man, life would have been a hell of a lot easier if that's all you had to worry about was cardboard, right?
I don't know. I think the cardboard factory guys probably got some agita going on too.
Maybe.
All right, good stuff. Well, yeah, we'll stay tuned with bated breath for your RTX or RX 6600 XT review.
And if you're a video,
in the coming weeks,
if you're a video type of guy, perhaps pay attention to the channel on Friday. Maybe
perhaps
coming Friday.
Oh, well, there you go. Maybe, could be. You never know. All right. Yes. Thanks for that tease there. Good. You always should be watching the channel here, whether you're on Twitch or YouTube or Periscope or Facebook or wherever. Just hit thumbs up and subscribe, because you'd be very cool to do that. And then you'd get notified when we go live with something new. So there.
Yes.
That's right, Chris. Thanks for that lower third. Like, subscribe, hit the reminder bell, dagnabbit. All right. So, all right, let's talk about more AMD stuff, because this week, in the last few days, it's kind of been AMD, announcement time again. So, hey, we're going to keep beating that drum if we got something new to talk about. And that's AMD's Ryzen 5000G series review. Marco, once again, you have burned the midnight oil and turned the knobs and dials and cranked the frame rates and the bandwidth and all that good stuff. Zen 3 APUs deliver big value, is what we said. We like these. We like the price points. We like the competitive performance versus their Intel counterparts, integrated Intel counterparts, Core i7 11700 and Core i5 11600 would be the right mapping, I think. And they represent an interesting value proposition for someone that's building a rig that can make use of integrated graphics, and maybe even if you can't, in case you're looking for another value option. I think Ryzen 7 58, or is it 5800X? I'm trying to think what the comparison was versus the 5700G, but the the 5800X integrated graphics version from AMD is currently priced at a discount. But this drops in even further. I think it just dropped below barely $400 on Amazon if you look around. But you can get the 5700G here for $359 and the 5600G for $259. Really good values for 8 and 6 core CPUs with integrated graphics. Thoughts? And the Vega graphics, which are part of the integrated engine, kicked up a notch as well, right?
These things kick butt. So for the money, right? The top end Ryzen 7 5700G is 8 core, 16 thread with an 8 CU GPU that can boost up to 2 gigahertz. And the Ryzen 5 5600G is 6 cores, 12 thread with a 7 CU GPU that can boost up to 1.9 gigahertz. Now, in terms of core clocks, you have a max boost of 4.6 on the 5700G and 4.4 on the 5600G. So in terms of CPU perf, you're squarely in the middle of AMD's lineup, but that in the middle of AMD's lineup is probably enough performance for like 90% of the users out there. Enthusiasts maybe want more cores, a 5950. I left that in the chart just to show you what a 16 core does versus an 8 core. But 8 cores, 16 threads, or 6 core, 12 thread, plenty of performance, competitive price point. The GPU, right, is the fastest desktop integrated GPU. I included some numbers from a mobile 1195 G7 to show the Iris Xe a little bit faster in terms of integrated GPU. But if you're talking about a desktop 11th gen Intel Core processor, way lower GPU performance, like way lower GPU performance than the Vega GPUs in these things. So you're talking, plenty of CPU perf for the vast majority of users with the best integrated GPU and 65-watt TDPs that drop into existing sockets for 400 and 500 series chipsets with with a BIOS update, all you need. So there's really not much not to like. The only real caveat is they're not all of the leading edge features of Zen 3. It's only PCI Express Gen 3 on these. It's essentially the same CCD that's in mobile Ryzen 5000. But, there's so much to like. There's not much to complain about. It's only like if you want the latest storage, you're not going to get it with one of these, but still really strong overall.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an interesting omission, I guess, for me. I don't think it would change a whole lot the performance picture you're talking about, being limited to 3.3 gigs a second read write, whatever the current gen PCI Express Gen 3 SSDs can put out. So not too big of a drawback there, but you can get some Zen 3 quality CPU cores. And impressive that Vega has scaled up so nicely, where Intel integrated Xe had been getting more and more competitive. Now AMD seems to have slid up a notch by scaling core frequency, really not changing the architecture, right? It was, you're talking process shrink, allowing core frequency scaling, right?
It's process shrink and faster system memory. When you're using the integrated system memory, every bit of bandwidth helps. So like if you look versus 4000 series mobile, like I have those numbers in there and all the integrated GPU, they're all bunched together. And, I should mention, technically at retail, these new APUs, you'd compare them to the 3000G series, but AMD had 4000 G series APUs for OEMs as well with similar configurations. So like if you got your hand on one of those in the channel, it's not a massive upgrade over one of those, but you do get the latest CPU architecture with the highest clocked Vega GPU, although it is the same architecture and configuration.
Yeah. Looking at some of the scores there, you've got, is that on IGP there? Yeah, it is. Okay.
That's all IGP. So the top one is mobile Intel. Right. The bottom ones are desktop Intel 11th gen. That's the difference between Intel's mobile GPU and desktop GPU.
Wow, that's wild. And actually, they're not Xe on the desktop, or are they? Yeah,
no, 11th gen desktop are not. They're UHD.
They're not. Yeah, that's the rub right there. When you click into mobile, Xe is pretty strong. So they're getting Xe class graphics performance out of Vega these days.
Well, so that mobile platform's using faster system memory. If you overclock the system memory on the desktop, I'm sure I could have got it to catch up. It's close. It's damn close, and the integrated graphics are way better than they have been. You can grab one of these APUs, throw it in a micro ATX board with an M.2 SSD, and you're done. You have a full system, and memory. Sorry, and you're done. Palm of your hand, DX12 GPU. Up to 8-core CPU, plenty of performance for everything except high-res gaming. Just it's a really interesting value proposition.
I was going to say killer home theater PC setup for sure.
Probably overkill, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I guess it depends on what you're doing on it. I mean, if you're doing more than just streaming and gaming or whatever, like gaming. Interesting though, huh?
and really easy overclocker. So Chris is on the overclocking numbers now. And if you just flip on PBO with a decent motherboard and Ryzen Master, you get like another 10% out of them. Just literally just hitting a button.
PBO being precision boost overdrive. For those not in the know, it's the automatic overclocking that's built into the processors and platform with Ryzen Master. Good stuff.
Very good stuff.
Cool. Well, I mean, that is what's interesting. It's good to see AMD innovating in lower price bands and more integrated platforms. The small form factor community, I'm sure, appreciates this. You could see, NUC-like devices for sure, I would think, with this kind of platform, right?
Not with the large desktop chip, but there are NUCs with the mobile chip in the Ryzen 5000 mobile in them.
You couldn't air cool this in a NUC size. I mean, not like a real small, palm of your hand, but
I mean, you'll do mini ITX, but not NUC size with a 65 watt.
Okay, yeah, that's true. 65 watts is a bit to dissipate. All right, cool. Well, let's see. Reginald says, this is an all AMD stream. Just wish the computer giveaway had an AMD processor. That's a little. It doesn't, but it has a really killer Intel processor. Should we switch gears to that, or what?
Well, let's just address that. So, Reginald, what if you were in the business, what you would see is some of these companies like to control the news cycle for a couple of weeks. So it just so happened AMD announced 6600 and launched 5000G over this last week and a half. So that's what we're talking about. No, it's not an AMD stream. The whole beginning of the stream was not AMD.
Yeah, that was an interesting comment, Reginald. But yeah, no, hey, that's really what it amounts to is, as press and analysts and media, we are, we're in the stream, and basically what these companies are announcing, that's what we talk about. That's what we're covering. And you're right. That's an interesting observation, Marco. It's like, a lot of times the strategy is raise a flag for one thing, and then while you've got the buzz attention, raise the other flag for the other thing. You saw RX 6600 XT generate some traction for AMD, and then smartly the marketing department says that marketing department had a coordinated effort with these processors as well, and it kind of allows it to enjoy some additional buzz on the AMD keywords and all that good stuff, right?
Exactly.
Funny how that works. And the search engine, feeding the juice of Google and whatever. Good stuff. Should we shift gears and close this out a little bit early?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about this thing because this is actually a fair bit to talk about, and this is an amazing rig that we have teamed up with the good folks at Asetek and Alienware to offer up. HotHardware's Asetek and Alienware Aurora R12 hot summer gaming PC giveaway. Hasn't really been that hot of a summer up here in the Northeast, I might add. It's 70-something degrees now in August, which does not usually happen. But with this PC, it's getting hot. Getting damn hot. So there you go. That's the Alienware Aurora in Lunar Light, I think is the name of the Lunar Light. Yes. The Lunar Light chassis. And it is powered by an Intel Core i9 11900F 8-core CPU. That thing turbo boosts to 5.2 gigahertz. Look at that. I like this design. This is a kind of a polarizing design. It has that jet engine look, or really alien spacecraft look, like if you were looking at the back end of a flying saucer that might be flying away. But I really like it. I like the way the lighting illuminates the front ventilation, the grill. I think it looks great. It also does have some thermal advantages, pulling cool air in from the front, exhausting out the back. Those are obviously the front vents. And then all your I/O right there, handy up top and in the front. But yeah, Core i9 11900F 8-core CPU, 5.2 gigahertz boost. Asetek, of course, closed loop liquid cooling for that CPU, and an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3080, 10 gig card under the hood, 32 gigs of RAM, a terabyte NVMe SSD, 2 terabyte hard drive, 1 kW power supply, keyboard and mouse. No monitor for this one. You're going to have to supply your own, but I think you'll manage to hook something cool up to this thing. basically probably one of the fastest gaming configs you can buy right now, unless you had a 3080 Ti. And I'm not sure what's faster than an 11900 F8 core for gaming.
For gaming, that's one of the best CPUs right now.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, what are your thoughts, Marco? I was psyched when they put this up. It is a great processor from Intel for gaming, and let's face it, there tends to be a lot of Ryzen buzz for many core CPUs up to 16 cores, but that's a great 8-core chip, and this can be a great system founded on it.
This is a great configuration for someone that wants a high-end gaming rig. So you do have one of the fastest gaming CPUs with a top 3 gaming GPU with plenty of storage and all the good stuff that you need to get rolling here, except for a monitor, but no big deal. I'm sure HotHardware readers will have no trouble sourcing a monitor. But yeah, awesome rig. We have to give a huge thank you to Asetek. They reached out to us because they wanted to hook one of you up with this rig, right? There was like no haggling or fighting or trying to get anything. It was like, hey guys, do you want to give this away? It's like, yeah, we want to give that away. Sure. Good stuff. So yeah, we huge thank you to Asetek. If you don't know, Asetek essentially pioneered the all-in-one liquid coolers that are ubiquitous today, like 20 years ago. So the cooler inside this machine is designed in partnership with Asetek. That's how this collaboration sort of started. But yeah, really good stuff. And we make winning these rigs super, super easy. You're going to come by the site. You're going to use the Gleam widget to go, check out a couple of social media pages, maybe like and subscribe here and there. And that's it. And you're automatically entered. And when the contest is over, we'll let Gleam do its thing. We'll randomly pick the winner and bang, it could be on your desk.
We have had many winners in our audience over the years.
Whoa, Dave. All of our audience are winners.
For shame. You're absolutely right. I misspoke. But we've had so many folks over the years in our audience that join us at HotHardware. I mean, there was a time where we were like clockwork giving away gaming systems, like one a month, sometimes multiple a month. And this is something we like to do. We like to give back. We like to hook people up. We like to, for lack of better words, sort of be a pusher of the PC platform to get people hooked on it, like almost like a drug. But it's a good drug because you can work and play and it's all good, right? So, yeah, we like that. We like sort of bringing people into the fold that way that might not otherwise have the means to afford this unbelievably beautiful config. So that's great stuff. Clicking back to Asetek, mm-hmm. I want to go back in history a little bit. So make sure I understand this. So they pioneered the closed loop all-in-one liquid cooler. Are the all-in-one coolers we have on the market today from a myriad of brands, are they all licensing the Asetek design essentially, and modifying and riffing on that?
Not all. If you the round head liquid coolers that have the sort of the notching locking mechanism,
yep,
that's most likely an Asetek design. That's right. the design that they pioneered. So all of the early ones most likely were either designed in collaboration with Asetek or licensed. Lots of the newer ones with full coverage or square ones are not. I don't know if they're using pump designs from Asetek, but those round head liquid coolers, I think we saw that at CE. I remember they pulled it out from, I don't know if you were there. They pulled it out from under a cabinet, like literally like maybe the first CES or one of the first IDFs I went to. And I was like, look at this cooler. And I was like, oh, wow, that's cool. And then lo and behold, 20 years later, they're still on the market. It's pretty crazy. I remember seeing them way back in the day.
I mean, it really simplified and brought, that thermal solution to the masses. It was a definitely an inflection point where, folks looked at liquid cooling and other exotic coolings like that, cooling systems like that, thermal electric, whatever, Peltier, all these different cooling types that were other than air, a fan sink kind of setup. they were always considered, a little esoteric, a little risky. Something goes awry, you're frying components. That closed loop design was a huge inflection point because now it's mainstream. You don't have to maintain it. It lasts for years, and it's safe. You're not going to mix liquid with your computer. It's a simple thing, but it took a while to get there. Not quite simple, I guess, if you're the design engineer that put that together, right?
Yep.
Sure. Cool stuff. Interesting comment from Topaz, and we actually have done this in the past. What are your thoughts about that, Marky? You've got some
enhanced. So I actually used to use the Topaz apps all the time because my cameras are micro four thirds, and the Topaz denoise AI was like everyone saying this. It's such a savior for small sensor cameras. I have since moved away because DxO's Deep Prime and the DxO PhotoLab 4 is phenomenal, and the Video Enhance AI and Denoise AI use similar algos for the denoising. Enhance AI is like a combination of gigapixel AI and denoise, so it denoises, scales it up. I haven't looked into using it as a benchmark. I can say the interface on the latest versions of denoise and gigapixel don't give you a ton of control for configuration. So I'm not sure how hard it is to maintain apples to apples across different platforms, but yeah, I can look into it for you. It is definitely an area where people are interested. If to be perfectly honest though, if I can figure out a way to use DxO PhotoLab for benchmarking, I totally would, because the Deep Prime denoising is so good. It's unbelievable. You can just save images that look like total crap, and it just clears them up amazingly.
So the denoising, so literally this is AI powered re-rendering of pixels that are otherwise noise, and beautifying the image as close to the original as possible.
Yeah, the Video Enhance AI. So Joel Hruska, who used to be a member of our team, who's at Extreme Tech, did his whole big project upscaling Star Trek Deep Space Nine and taking old DVD, I think it was DVD footage, and upscaling it to HD. Takes forever because it's essentially taking a low-res image, deblocking, denoising, scaling it up using an AI algorithm, and then piecing everything back together as a video, right? So you can imagine how many frames it has to do and how much processing is involved in that. It's huge. But for photographers, you also have individual tools for denoising or scaling that you could do on your images. And the denoising has been really popular in circles that I frequent, because our little small sensor cameras are noisier than someone like you who has a Canon R6. So
yeah. No, that it's fascinating stuff, and I'm looking forward to the future of it as it evolves and becomes more mainstream and commonplace, and less tools of creative professionals and pros that really get into this stuff, because I think you're going to start seeing some of this stuff come to a phone, come to a desktop app or whatever, where it's integrated in, where the AI will clean things up. And I look forward to the day when, the basic, home movie from yesteryear, or maybe it's some old, I don't know, black and white film or whatever, that suddenly looks amazingly lifelike and real and brings you back in this period of time that you otherwise couldn't have captured with the equipment that existed in that day. That's a really cool field.
That will definitely come. If you can feed in any sort of digital video at some point in the future, any sort of digital video, we will be able to be colorized, denoised, upscaled to 4K, 8K, whatever, and it's going to look great.
Yeah, that's going to be fun stuff. It's amazing what man can do with certain things like this, and what AI is doing in general. It used to be that AI was kind of a buzzword thrown around, and we all thought, oh, it's just marketing people spitting AI out at every turn. But when you think about applications like this and some of the other applications, we've talked to companies now that AI is designing chips, and that's a real thing, and it's not just marketing, it's real. They're doing floor planning and stuff. That's cool stuff. That's really cool stuff. Makes it exciting for guys like us. Interesting comments here. Shifting back to the giveaway. I had an Aurora R7 says Paw Diddy Squeeze. I love that. That's a great handle, man.
Diddy Squeezy.
Yeah, baby. With liquid cooling, I gave my son, and it's still running like a champ. There you go. And let's see. What you says is a good replacement for Vega 64. Oh, there you go. That's a good question, Marco. Why don't you toss that one around?
So, John, that it all depends on what resolution your monitor or monitors are.
Yeah.
If I throw my enthusiast psycho hat on, it's buy the fastest GPU that you could possibly afford at all times, because it's just going to extend the usable life.
Amen.
If I was spending my own money right now, I think the 6800 XT is kind of the sweet spot. You get much of the performance of a 6900 for hundreds less, talking MSRPs, unfortunately. But yeah, the 6800 XT, if I was investing in a GPU, that's the range I would go for, because it's a significant upgrade over 6700 or any 5000 series GPU. You get all the leading edge features, plenty of memory, and without springing for the absolute top of the line.
There you go. There you go.
Now, I should say though, if you only have 1080p display, I'd say wait till next week and see how the numbers shake out. I will say, when we're finally allowed to show 6600 XT benchmarks, I will have a fresh set of numbers from 6700 XT, 6600 XT, 5700 XT, and competing NVIDIA cards in that same range with all fresh numbers, so you can make up your mind then.
Yeah, there you go. And he's obviously asking relative to AMD's product. There are certainly some other great options within NVIDIA's product portfolio. 3060 Ti comes to mind, that kind of thing. But 3070 Ti, those are great value cards as well.
Yep. This really good question just came in too.
Yeah, that one right there.
Yes, very good question.
That is a very good question. So let's talk about that, because that was a big dust up on the internet. It was a big dust up on YouTube. This California law that it was put forth, and that some states are now following, that talks about needing to have your computer systems be eco-friendly, and how it could limit PC sales. And it actually did limit, in the case of Dell Alienware, a few systems from shipping to folks in those states. California, I'm trying to think of the other states. There was like 6 or 8 states involved. Anyways, to answer your question, yes, I'm a little afraid that dumb politicians will cause that. Although I think the intent of the legislation, which was poorly written, was to optimize efficiency in a gaming system. So not while under load, not while gaming, as much as during idle times when power isn't needed, when a system should cool down and use less power. It should intelligently manage its consumption. So I think that's the intent of the legislation. The way it was written was wildly confusing and caused people to freak out. And some of the YouTubers and reviewers in the community were basically saying, hey, this legislation has been around since 2016. Well, and it hasn't been a problem until now. Well, yeah, it's because they enacted it. They wrote it and it was passed in 2016, and we were talking about it back then, but it wasn't enforced until recently. So big dust up. Yes, politicians will get in the way of technology on a regular basis, because some of them are not technologists. But I think we'll figure it out. What do you think, Marco?
So I'm going higher level based on the question. So
yeah.
For manufacturers, working on efficiency is a good thing, because what you end up with, focusing on performance per watt, what you end up with is ultimately more efficient parts. But if you crank up the voltages in clocks, provided you have adequate cooling, you typically end up with much higher performance parts as well. So focusing on eco-friendly graphics processors and processors, or basically any component, typically results in a better product, in my opinion, overall. So no, I'm not afraid of any sort of stagnation. If anything, engineers love solving tough problems, and energy efficiency is an extremely tough problem. So no, if this question is in reference to what happened last week with that California legislation, that whole situation was silly. But going higher level, focusing on eco-friendly stuff and performance per watt does not worry me at all. In fact, it's a good thing.
Good catch on that, and you're absolutely right. That's the question. Will it stifle innovation? I think, technological stagnation, as Topaz coins it. Yeah, I think it's crazy to think that engineers won't try and design for. You have three basic criteria. You have performance, area, and power when you're designing a chip. And area meaning silicon area. You can't have waste in silicon area. You need performance and you need power. You have power envelopes. It's what you got to design to. It's just part of the deal. The power envelopes, frankly, that have been getting away from us in GPUs are a good example, Marco, right? When you look at a 3090 and what that thing consumes for power, for example. Yes, at some point you got to rein it back in because you lose the once you get past the point of diminishing returns, you can throw, more power at it and you lose that efficiency. You begin to reach diminishing returns in lots of other areas as well. And so it doesn't make sense to keep designing big fat silicon that consumes too much energy to do what it's supposed to do. But easier said than done in a lot of different ways.
Just to give it another quick example, right? I just jumped into the last NUC that I reviewed, the last really small form factor NUC that I reviewed. So a 6-core 10th gen NUC, fully built with memory stored, literally running, idled at only 6 watts and under full load broke 100 watts. So just to give some context, before we had LED light bulbs, most people probably had 60 to 100 watt light bulbs in their house, right?
Yeah.
This system pulled a fraction of that while idling, and a fully working under full load 6-core system was using the same amount of power as what a typical light bulb used to. That's awesome. That's huge innovation. And that's what focusing on perf per watt ultimately gets you. And that's why it's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder though, in the GPU space, what's happening there. It seems like there's a little bit of a disregard recently in perf per watt.
Well, the chips are just so big, and we've been, Intel took most of the flack for manufacturing delays, but we're multiple generations of 7 nanometer now.
Yep.
And if you're going to go bigger on a similar process, it's going to use more power. And if you want bigger, more power, more performance, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring up one last comment and then we got to run. Brian Allen sold his Radeon 7 for $2,000.
Wow.
My God, that's crazy. That's amazing. What a crazy world we're living in right now with GPUs. If I turned my camera around and you saw how many GPUs were surrounding me,
oh, you're a millionaire. Yeah,
I'd probably be living on the Cayman Islands, but I need them for testing.
yeah, that's good. You're gonna keep them. Sorry, you can't sell them. Not today. Not today.
No, I'm a hoarder, dude. I still have X800 cards in the attic and 2900 XTs.
And that's why we love you. Yes, good stuff. Here you go. Yeah, you're hoarding GPUs. There you go. Yes, he is. Paw Diddy Sweezy. Paw Diddy Sweezy. I really like that. That's a great handle. All right. Well, with that, we should probably bid everybody adieu. Let's drop this link in the chat one more time. Make sure you stop by HotHardware.com to get in it and win it. Okay, get in it for a chance to win it. Anyways, Hot Hardware is an Asetek's Alienware Aurora R12 Hot Summer Gaming PC giveaway. You could win that beautiful rig. Hit thumbs up and subscribe. You can find us on the web at hothardware.com, youtube.com/hothardware, Hot Hardware vids. We're also there at YouTube. Twitch, Hot Hardware Twitch. That's where you can find us there. We're all over the web. Facebook, Hot Hardware. Thumbs up, subscribe, and we would appreciate it very much. You can join us whenever we go live, whenever we have some new content. Marco, anything to say? Any parting words before we bid everyone good evening?
Nope. Just want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. And always remember we talked about a tiny fraction of the stuff that we post on hothardware.com. So please check out the site daily. Brandon and all the other guys in the news post tons of stuff all day. And all of us, we try to get as many full beefy reviews out as well. So tons of content that we don't talk about and tons of people to chat with, just in the comment section too. So help support the site. We're one of the last independent tech publishers out there. So keep us going. We'd really appreciate it. And yeah, I think that's about it.
There you go. There you go. And I'll toss one more thing out there before we sign off. Drop a link or drop a comment in the below, whether it be Facebook, YouTube, wherever you are, on any ideas you have for guests that we might invite on. We like to invite on guests from OEMs. We like to invite guests from other channels, from other publications. So if you have any ideas for someone to talk to that might be interesting, fire away. We'll listen. We'll see if we can't conjure that up for you. And with that, we will say thanks so much for stopping by.